We'll go ahead and get started.
See, I need a prayer book. Oh, thank you. Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm not Geshe Gallic, as people may have realized. In many, many ways, I'm not Geshe Gallic, but I'm substituting for him this morning. I'm Robbie Watkins. I've been coming here for a number of years, and Linda asked me to fill in this morning, and I said I was glad to, and I said, what do you want me to talk about? And she said, I have no idea. I said, thank you. But what we'll be doing this morning, I thought about, Geshe has been teaching from a book called The Bodhisattva's Guide to Life by Shanti Davis. So I thought I'd give some background on that, and we'll talk about the text that he's using. And I think it'll help people get more benefit from the teachings that he's been giving on Sunday morning. And we have a lot of children here today. That's great. So let Donna take it away with our prayers.
In the Gold Prayer Book, turn to the red tab, page 34, and we'll begin with the Shakyamuni Buddha mantra 3 times. Taya ta om mune mune maha munaye soha. Taya ta om mune mune maha munaye soha. Taya ta om mune mune maha munaye soha. Now we'll recite the Medicine Buddha stanza and the mantra 7 times. Bhagawan, with equal compassion for all, whose name when merely heard dispels the suffering of the lower realms, dispeller of disease and the 3 poisons, I prostrate to Medicine Buddha lapis light. Teata om bekkanse, maha bekkanse, raja samudgate soha. 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 Te ata om bekan se, maha bekan se, raja samut gate soha. Now the four immeasurables, which we will say twice in English, and then we'll flip to page 37 at the bottom and recite it once in Tibetan. May all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all sentient beings be inseparable from the happiness that is free from suffering. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from attachment for friends and hatred for enemies. May all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all sentient beings be inseparable from the happiness that is free from suffering. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from attachment for friends and hatred for enemies. Now on the bottom of page 37. Sem chen tam che de wa dang de wei gyu dang den par gyur chik du ngao dang duk ngao gi gyu dang drel wa jur chik du ngao me pe de wa dang mi drel wa jur chik nye ring chak dang ni dang drel wei tang nyam la ne par chur chik. Now at the bottom of page 37, we have the Chenrezig mantra and the Tara mantra, which we will recite. The verses of praise are not in the book, but we're going to recite those. Not veiled by any fault, white in color, whose head a perfect Buddha crowns in light, gazing compassionately at all beings, to you, Chenrezig, all-seeing one, I prostrate. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. Now the Tara verse of praise. Tara liberates from psychic existence. Tu Tara liberates from the 8 fears. Ture liberates from all sickness. I prostrate to the liberator, Mother Tara. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha. 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 Now back to page 34, and we'll say the Refuge in Bodhicitta prayer. Let's say it twice in English and chant it once in Tibetan. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Sanjay chudang soki chok nam la chang chu bardu dagni kapsu chi dagi chun yen ji pe sonam ji drala pinshir sanjay drupar sho. Oh, and children who are here for the children's program, you're dismissed now and you can go to your classroom building.
Okay. So welcome, everyone. Do we have anyone who's here for the very first time today? A couple of people. Okay, great. Let's just introduce ourselves to each other and say hello for the next few minutes.
Hi, Shayna. And if you're on Zoom, I'm going to put you in a breakout room. If you want to join it, feel free to say hello to your fellow Zoomers.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Mhm. Mhm.
There we go. Good morning, everyone from California.
Mhm.
Good morning from California.
Mhm.
Oh, there, I hear someone. Yay.
I got one from Coco. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to push it. Yes, definitely.
Oh, cold.
Mhm.
Well, it's nice seeing everyone.
Hi, Lisa, online.
Oh, hey. Hi. I was about to give up. Who's talking? Is that hey, it's Denise,
So if
right?
you are in the Kadampa, you can wrap up your hellos and have a seat.
Sorry, it took me a minute to
We
figure out
let
how to
them go
turn on
for
my
a few more
video.
minutes.
It took me a minute to figure out all the things. No worries. It's
Yeah, they're sitting there twiddling their thumbs.
We have a little
What
kitten
time
joining
do
us.
you have? What's your time? I think, okay, I think this clock's a little off. Yeah, a little slow.
all right. Let's see if I can. How do I do that?
All righty, everyone.
How do I mute myself?
Okay, if we can come back together now.
You can wrap up your hellos.
No. How do I do that?
Okay, so let's just begin with a little bit of meditation. We'll do what's called a concentration or stabilizing meditation, and there are lots of ways of doing that. We're going to do a very simple version. So first we check our posture. I'm not going to go through all the details of the posture, but the important things, the significant points are to have a straight back, not slumped, feet either flat on the floor or crossed on a cushion in front, legs crossed, eyes either lightly closed or very slightly open. So establish your posture so that it will not be distracting during the meditation that's to follow. You can put your right hand on your left with your thumbs touching slightly below the level of your navel. Begin by taking 3 deep breaths from the abdomen. So the stomach expands on the in-breath and contracts towards the spine on the out-breath. Just do that very slowly 3 times. And now take a moment and establish your motivation. We did that during the prayers, but let's think about that again. And as much as possible, generate the bodhicitta motivation, the wish to become enlightened for the benefit of all sentient beings. And having established our motivation, we'll begin the actual meditation. We simply place our concentration, our awareness on the movement of air in and out through our nostrils, the physical sensation of air moving in and out at the openings of our nose. Nothing more, nothing less than that. We simply are aware of that. And whenever, every time our awareness goes off to something else, as it inevitably will, we set that aside and come back to the breath over and over and over again. And that's the meditation, the stabilizing meditation, stabilizing our active, somewhat uncontrolled mind and using its innate ability to concentrate, to pay attention, to be aware. And we can end our meditation, as always, with a brief dedication. We can acknowledge that we've done something positive just by sitting quietly in this way for a few minutes. It's made a positive imprint on our mind stream that wasn't there before. And we think, may that positive energy not be dispersed, but may it ripen in the future in a way that benefits all sentient beings. And you may relax your concentration. I think we've got some serious meditators here. It's quite quiet in the room. Nobody fell out of their chair or anything. So as I said, Geshe-la has been teaching from the text A Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life on Sunday mornings. Do you know how much longer he's going to continue that, Linda? Okay. To be seen. So I thought it would be, he probably assumes that we're more familiar with the text than we really are. So I thought we could use this morning as kind of a catch-up class. So prepare the soil, so to speak, so that we get the most benefits from the seeds of his teaching. So the text again is called A Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life. And I think it's safe to say that it is probably the most beloved text in all of Tibetan Buddhism across all traditions. In that it's written in an unusually poetic style. It's set up in stanzas. The dedication that we do at the end is taken from this text. So that gives you a taste of what his style is like. It's very accessible until you get to the 9th chapter, which is on wisdom. There are 10 chapters. The first 8 are quite accessible. 9 is quite inscrutable for a lot of us. And then 10 is the dedication, which is easy again. But it is, like I said, it's extremely popular, and there have been many, many translations of it. We do have one for sale in the bookstore. It's out at the desk right at the door. It's easily accessible. It's $20. And this is a translation by Stephen Batchelor, which is the one I'm most familiar with. I have one of my copies of it is from 1979. So this is one that's been around a long time and is very highly respected. There's another one by Alan Wallace, and you'll see lots of other translations. I think I have 3 or 4 in my small library. His Holiness the Dalai Lama wrote a commentary of it called, what is it, Flash of Lightning in the Dark of Night, which is, I don't know if we have that in the bookstore, but it's readily available, but it's his commentary on this text. So who was Shantideva? He was an Indian. There's some controversy as to where he was actually born, but it's generally accepted that he was born in southern India around 1685 or so. And we tend to forget this, but the first 1,000 years or so, Buddhism was an Indian religion, and all the great monasteries and all the great scholars were in India. And then they went from there to Tibet and Japan and China and Indonesia. And then Buddhism was somewhat wiped out in India during the Mughal invasions. But the roots of the religion are really in India. We tend to think of it as having been born in Tibet, and that's not accurate at all. It came to Tibet from India. So Shantideva was born in southern India about 1685, and he went to Nalanda Monastery, which was one of the, if not the greatest Buddhist monastery in all of India at the time. It's located in Bihar, or it was located in Bihar state near Bodh Gaya, where the Buddha achieved enlightenment. And it was thriving at the time. It was wiped out somewhere around 1400 during one of the Mughal invasions. So he went there as a monk, and he was very quickly identified as an unusual monk, someone out of the ordinary. It said he very rapidly achieved 3 specific realizations. A realization is a term we use in Buddhism where an idea or a thought completely pervades your mind so that it's constantly present. So we talk about realizing compassion. So that compassion is the background of everything that we think and do, or we realize emptiness, or we realize generosity. So Shantideva was quickly identified as having achieved 3 realizations. And the 3 realizations that he achieved very rapidly in the monastery were sleeping, eating, and defecating. He was not considered an outstanding monk, okay? He didn't go to meditation. He didn't engage in debate. He was basically, to all appearances, a really lousy monk, okay, with his 3 realizations of sleeping, eating, and defecating. So as a joke one day, they put him up on the other monks put him up on a very high throne and asked him to teach them. These are the stories we get. And, they expected this would be just a disaster. And he came out spontaneously with the 9th chapter of the Guide to Bodhisattva's Way of Life, the chapter on wisdom, the most profound chapter in the entire book. So while he was sleeping, eating, and defecating, something was going on in his mind that was not visible to the other monks. So don't judge a monk by his appearances, I guess, is the message there. So he's realized that he was someone completely out of the ordinary, but not in the way that they had expected. So he wrote 2 great texts in his lifetime. One was the Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life. I can't remember the name of the other one, but we never talk about it. Donna, can you look it up? Yeah. Is that what I said? Oh, excuse me. Yeah, just 1,000 years off. Yeah, 685. Yeah, thank you. Yes, the training anthology, which I've never heard anyone teach from. I'm sure it's out there, but the one we talk about is the Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life. In Sanskrit, it's the Bodhisattvacharyatara. Okay, and it's a self-help book for bodhisattvas. That's one way to think of it. If you're a bodhisattva, what do? How do you lead your life? So the first question is, what's a bodhisattva? Anybody want to take a stab at that? Anybody tell us what a bodhisattva is? And speak into the mic if you're
in here,
daring
take a
to
stab at
go
it.
out on a limb.
Shayna will bring you the mic so folks online can hear. Andre.
Andre's always brave.
Good now?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. A bodhisattva is a person, being who lives his life completely for the sake of others.
Okay.
Yeah.
What have they realized?
Bodhicitta.
Okay, bodhicitta. So what's bodhicitta?
Bodhicitta is the altruistic wish to benefit others. Live your life completely for the sake of others.
Okay, yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Mind.
Yeah, thank you. Bodhicitta is the wish to become enlightened for the benefit of others. Okay, that's the realization of the compassion wing of enlightenment. Someone who has realized that is referred to as a bodhisattva. A bodhisattva is someone who the bodhicitta motivation is constantly present in their mind stream. So it doesn't say anything about whether they've mastered the wisdom aspect, okay? They've mastered the compassion aspect, but not the wisdom aspect of enlightenment. So a bodhisattva is not a Buddha. Okay, it's a very great, enormous achievement, but they still have certain obscurations to remove from their mind stream. They have to accumulate merit. They have to develop the wisdom aspect to become a Buddha, a being who's completely compassionate and completely wise. Okay, so Shantideva wrote this book it's for all you bodhisattvas out there, how to live your life. So it kind of implies that he must have been a bodhisattva himself, I think, if he's telling bodhisattvas how to live their life. I don't know. It'd be kind of presumptuous to write a book telling them how to live their lives if you hadn't had that realization yourself, though he would never announce it, I would guess. So this is a guide to the bodhisattva's way of life. But for those of us who are not bodhisattvas, it can be very practical and helpful in the life we're living now as we're working on aspiring to become bodhisattvas. So we can take it as a guide to the aspiring bodhisattva's way of life. So that's Shantideva's text. And he describes the bodhisattva's way of life as being based on what are frequently referred to as the 6 perfections. The Sanskrit word is the paramitas, or sometimes they're referred to as the 6 all-encompassing attitudes, the 6 perfections. These are referred to as the practice of the bodhisattva. So after his introductory chapter, he devotes a chapter to each of the 6 perfections and then tells us why they're valuable and how to achieve them or how to practice them, and then he does a dedication. Okay, so the question is, what are the 6 perfections? What are the 6 paramitas? This is something that's very good to, if you're studying Buddhism, to just memorize this. It's not very hard. Okay, first thing I want to mention a little bit about the benefits of practicing the 6 perfections to the best that we can in this life, even before we achieve the state of being a bodhisattva. It's said by practicing the 6 perfections, and this is from Shantideva, we can avoid and we can solve problems when they arise, and we can avoid having problems. That's the first benefit. Okay. The second benefit is by practicing the 6 perfections, we remove disturbing states of mind from our mental continuum. And the third is we develop our ability to help others. Okay? So it helps us solve and avoid problems. It helps us eliminate disturbing, upsetting states of mind from our mental continuum. And it helps us to benefit others if we practice the 6 perfections. So that sounds pretty good. Anybody doesn't want that? I'd say it sounds very good overall. So does anybody know what the first perfection is? Generosity, okay? So this means if you want to practice this, you have to go home and withdraw everything from your bank account, liquidate your IRA, give up your house, your clothing, and give it all to the poor, right? No, it doesn't mean that. Or you can give it to Kadampa Center, yes. That's a very wonderful way to be generous. So what does it mean if it doesn't mean doing that?
Again, if you're in the Gampa, you can raise your hand.
Erica?
We've got Rebecca back here. And if you're online, if you're on Zoom, you can unmute or you can do the little raise your hand symbol.
So it's not just generous with money, though it can be with whatever you have available to give, but it's also generous with time and effort and the sharing of the Dharma.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. And what kind of mind do we have when we give these things? What's our mind like? It's free of attachment, okay, free of clinging, and we do it willingly and with joy, okay? If we're giving so that we look good to others, that's not generosity, no matter how much we give. If we do it so we can get a big deduction on our taxes, that's not generosity. If we give so that we hope we get something in return, that's not generosity. So the really important thing, as always, is our mental attitude. Okay, it's not, though the actions are important, the real key as to whether it's true generosity is the mental attitude with which we perform the action. Okay, that's generosity. Okay, the first perfection, generosity. Okay, any questions or comments on that? Yeah, Linda.
Hi, Robbie. I was wondering if you could speak a little more in detail about giving without the attachment of wanting something in return, meaning like I try to practice generosity. This is just an example, so that it comes easier to me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
and trying to perfect that perfection of generosity.
Yeah.
So I do want something back. So
That's, yeah.
talk to that a little bit.
That's interesting because when I was reading for this, I think it was, I think it's Tupton Children who said that, brought that up. You know, if it's for our spiritual practice, for our spiritual development, that's completely valid, okay? Because we're doing it with hopefully the bodhicitta motivation, that we're helping develop our mind, our spiritual practice, so that we can benefit others. I mean, that's the ideal, you know, everything's mixed in our motivations now, but doing something so that it benefits our spiritual practice, I think is completely valid. Yeah. Yeah, but great comment. Anyone else? Okay, we got a couple. Yeah, this is very much a discussion. Okay. I'm just throwing out a few points.
When I contemplate the six perfections, I always think of the way they can be an antidote to things, and generosity is an antidote to stinginess in particular, and attachment in general. So
Yeah.
there's that too, that benefit and that moving forward on the path.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Andre.
My feeling is that also, if you're really doing this with a good heart, you don't have to worry about what comes back, because it comes back. It just naturally comes back. So I try to just do it and don't think about anything else, but just do it, and then see what happens. If I kind to someone, I'm giving something and they don't acknowledge it, that's okay, because I wasn't doing it for that. I was doing it because I'm trying to work on my own mind.
Yeah.
And so forth.
Yeah. I mean, if we have the bodhicitta motivation as much as we can, anything that develops our mind is being done for the benefit of others. Okay, so I think that is true generosity. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay, first perfection. And then, at the highest level, all the perfections are practiced with a understanding of emptiness. Okay, that the self doesn't exist in the way we think it does. Okay, that I am not an independent, solid self. So that kind of eliminates, if we're doing it at that level, eliminates it of doing it for the benefit of me, because we see the emptiness of me. Okay. So but that's at a very high level to practice these with that's the true perfection of these, when they're done with all done with an understanding of emptiness. Okay. First paramita, first perfection. We've got that one down. Second perfection, morality, ethical behavior. How would we define morality, ethical behavior? Anybody want to take a stab at that? We have a voice from the back. not harming others. That's a simple way to look at it. As much as you can, not harming others. As Venerable Rabina puts it, zip your lips and keep your hands to yourself. Yeah, David, let me.
I think avoiding the 10 non-virtuous actions must be
Yeah,
the sum of the whole thing.
yeah, the 10 non-virtuous actions. If we don't know how to behave ethically, if we don't have the wisdom, the Buddha gave us some guidelines. Wait, don't give the mic back to him. He's not done yet. Called the 10 non-virtuous actions that we should avoid.
Right.
And David will recite those for us now.
Uh-oh. Well, there's, let me see, there's actions of body, speech, and mind.
Yeah, good.
And there's 4 and
Yeah.
3 and 3.
There's 3 of body. Those are the easy ones to remember.
That's stealing, maybe. Sexual misconduct,
Killing, stealing,
yeah.
sexual misconduct. Okay. Those are actions of body that the Buddha said it's better to avoid because 99.9 times this will hurt someone else. Okay. There's always exceptions, but for those of you who are not enlightened, it's better to avoid those. Okay. There are 4 of speech.
4 of speech, gossip, harsh speech, maybe saying untrue things,
lying,
divisive speech.
Divisive speech. Okay. Lying, harsh speech, frivolous speech or gossip, divisive speech, speech that's intended to split people apart. Okay.
All right.
Generally best to avoid those. Okay. I mean, there may be times where they're appropriate. Okay. But rarely. Okay. For most of us unenlightened people, avoid those as much as we can. Okay. That's 7 down.
Now let's
David's good with numbers, so he's saying that means I have 3 left.
actions of mind, wrong views.
That's number 3. Yeah.
Wrong view. My mind is blank.
Okay. Anybody know what the first 2 are? Covetousness or craving or attachment.
Okay.
Harmful intent, ill will, wishing to harm. Okay. And the third is wrong views, which is defined in lots of different ways. But generally it means not seeing things as the way they are, not seeing reality. It also means denying the possibility of enlightenment. That's considered a very wrong view. If we think I can't do that or something, that's considered one of the worst wrong views because it is possible. Okay. Great. Thank you, David. Yes. Okay. So to review, we have killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, and there are lots of definitions of that, and some of them are very graphic about what can go where and when, but it's generally having sexual relations with someone else's partner is a simple way to think of it. Okay. 4, lying, harsh speech, frivolous speech, divisive speech. 3 of mind. Covetousness, ill will, wrong views. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. A lot of these things wind up in other lists. If you spend any time studying Tibetan Buddhism, you're going to get lists out the wazoo, and you're not going to be able to remember, is it 6 of this or 14 of those or 15 of those? And yeah, they love to make lists. Okay, so ethical behavior, not harming others, in general, avoiding the 10 non-virtues. Okay, that's the second perfection. Okay, any questions or comments about that? Pretty straightforward. Okay, what's the third perfection? Patience. Okay. And I read a couple of things I was reading said that patience is not really a great translation, though it's the traditional one, and we always think of this as patience. Another word that was used is fortitude. Okay. And they talk about strength in terms of this one, and it's defined in various ways as the ability to remain calm when in the face of being harmed by others. Okay. We're talking about mental calm. Okay. Having the fortitude when someone attacks us verbally, not to have our mind go, "Rah," okay, but to stay calm. That's what we mean by fortitude, I think, in this aspect. Staying calm when in the face of physical suffering. Again, that can be very difficult. And then, it's also said to be staying calm when we're having problems studying the Dharma. Be patient with yourself. Have some patience for yourself. When we don't seem to get it, when we're not making any progress, that's a type of fortitude also. Okay, so we talked about antidotes. This is typically presented as the antidote to anger, the response to harm from others that wants to give it back, that wants to harm them. Instead, we have this attitude of fortitude or patience, which doesn't necessarily mean being a doormat. Doesn't mean you don't respond, but you don't respond out of anger, out of that wish to harm them back. So again, we're talking about the mental attitude. Okay, the third perfection, to develop the perfection of patience or fortitude, staying calm when we're being harmed, when we're suffering, when we're having problems with our Dharma practice. All of those are part of the perfection of patience. Any comments on this one? And this is one of the chapters in Shantideva that people really love to read. The chapter on patience. It's just one goodie after another. Each stanza is a little nugget that you can take and meditate on. Any comments or questions? Yeah, Andre. No, please.
I find patience is the one, right, that really wakes you up and help you to realize, you know what, I'm not there yet, right? Case in point, last night it was raining and stuff. My dog wanted to go out, and she's rushing to the door, and I'm assuming now she's telling me she's really got to go. We go out and she's walking around and sniffing, and it's raining and stuff like that. I love my dog with all of my heart, but I started getting impatient, and then that little frustration, this little nice little things we don't want to say it's anger, but it really is anger,
Yeah.
that began to emerge.
Yeah.
And I
referred to as that low-grade irritation. That's the background for so much of our experience. Yeah, that little buzz of being irritated by this, that, and everything.
Absolutely.
That's anger. Yeah.
That's anger. Absolutely. Yeah. And so I had to catch it.
Uh-huh.
And so I went upstairs to my Kadampa, and then I did my practice and just calm my mind down again, and so forth. And I thought, well, she's ready to go again, we'll go, but she didn't want to go again. So everything was cool.
But if she had wanted to go again, your attitude would have been a little different.
A lot better.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So being patient is really important.
Yeah. Thank you. So I think Orlando, if we can pass the mic to Orlando.
Hi, Roy. I think Geshe Gelek once said that sadness and depression can be understood as deep-seated angriness. So I think that refers to what you just said about being patient with yourself. I think that also speaks to, being kind to yourself if you're in a situation when you cannot change the world.
Yeah.
Like when you see a war or a disaster, and, you can just not go and, fix the war or change the disaster. Then I think the depression is indeed a form of angriness when we cannot change the reality that we are surrounded by. And then we have to have patience, not despair and become sad and depressed.
Yeah. Yeah. When we talk about all sentient beings, we're including ourselves in that. It's not just others. Yeah. Anyone else? Yeah, David.
It seems to me that patience is required just dozens and dozens of times in our lives every day, in the sense that if we were just left to ourselves, we might just sit at the table in the morning reading the paper, but then we remember we're supposed to go to work, or we've got an appointment, or we're supposed to get the oil changed today or something. And each one of those is a kind of a disturbance that we could grow impatient over. Why do I have to do this? Or why did I ever agree to this? Or and so on. And all day long, we're often occupied doing things that our culture or society or our workplace or something have kind of pulled us into. We weren't necessarily real eager to do it. And if we're going to do those with a calm mind, we've got to remain patient and just to realize that life is like that. And that for all as long as we're alive, we're going to be solving issues like that, dealing with issues like that. In fact, it's the definition of being alive. I mean, the only way to get out of it would be not to be alive.
Yeah. Or to become a Buddha where those irritations, thoughts of irritation never arise in the mind stream. Yeah. Yeah. I'll read from Shantideva. There is no evil like hatred and no fortitude like patience. Thus, I should strive in various ways to meditate on patience. My mind will not experience peace if it fosters painful thoughts of hatred. I shall find no joy or happiness. Unable to sleep, I shall feel unsettled. Okay, so that's why we want to practice patience. No joy and no happiness without patience or fortitude. Okay. Okay, next on the list. Who knows what the next one is? Joyful effort. Okay. Sometimes perseverance. How would you define joyful effort?
Anyone online? Oh, Donna. She's both online and in person.
In a way, it's a little bit like self-discipline that, you persevere, some of the things that you set yourself in your spiritual life are challenging, but you are happy to do them even if they're difficult because your eyes are on the prize. So it's kind of sticking to the plan.
Yeah. Anyone else? Yeah.
I like to think of joyful effort. I like what Donna just said, but I'm thinking of joyful effort in terms of maybe effort towards giving or helping your loved ones or people in your community, and not doing it from a place of duty or obligation, but doing it from bliss and true, authentic, genuine desire to give love.
Yeah. I mean, we all have that experience. We're more than glad to make an effort to help certain people, okay? Generally the people who are nice to me, okay? And this is about extending it to everyone. It's sometimes referred to as taking joy in virtuous actions, okay? And, That's, it seems like it'd be very easy to delude yourself this and to think, to kind of forcing a smile on your face and saying, I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying cleaning out the bathroom at Kadampa Center for the sake of all benefit, all sentient beings. But, remember, this is theoretically we're bodhisattvas or we're bodhisattvas in training. So everything we're doing is for the benefit of others, okay, or of all sentient beings. So it's joy in virtuous activities, taking pleasure in virtuous activities, being happy with virtuous activities. Any other comments or questions? Okay, moving on. Number 5, concentration, mental stability, meditative stability. Okay, are all terms that are used for this one. Concentration's the simple word. What's concentration? What's mental stability?
Anyone online yet? Want to take a stab at it?
I'll give you the definition. It's the ability to remain focused on a constructive object without a constructive subject, or with constructive object without distraction. Okay, or on a virtuous. Okay, so we're not talking about concentrating on rape, killing, and stealing here. That's not the perfection that the bodhisattvas practiced. It's staying concentrated, focused on virtuous objects without distraction. Okay, so we do a little bit of this when we do a simple breathing meditation. The breath is really kind of a neutral object. It's hard to call it virtuous, except that it keeps us alive. But when we do a mantra, if we're concentrating on the mantra, that's a virtuous object. If we're concentrating on an image of the Buddha, if we're concentrating on loving kindness or on patience or anything, those are all virtuous activities. And so this perfection is the ability to keep the mind on those without it wandering away at all. There, stay focused without distraction. This is the perfection, and it's done with the bodhicitta motivation to be for benefit to others. Any comments on that? Yeah, Andre.
This too is where patience really come in handy, and patience with oneself.
Yeah.
Because you get so frustrating if you have a ADD mind, and I have that, and you try to stay on your breath, and your mind is just going everywhere. It's really, really, it gets very, very frustrating. And then you get this attitude, man, I just can't do this. And you got to stay away from that attitude, and just keep doing it. I have gotten better as a result. I started meditating when I was going to university, and it really helped me with my studies.
Yeah,
it really helped a lot. So I have gotten better. Yeah.
Okay,
But it's
thank you.
effort, patience.
You want to say something, Susie? Okay. Anything else on concentration? Okay. Yeah.
Also maybe which maybe embed all of them, which is living in the moment, focusing now, like you are teaching, then focusing now on these teachings and not thinking about the future or past.
Yeah,
So
that would be concentration. Yes. Okay. Which means staying on the object and also being aware when you've wandered off. Lots of times we don't even know that we wandered off until 10 minutes later we say, oh yeah. So part of developing concentration is staying with the object and then immediately recognizing when you're off the object, and that becomes quicker and easier, and you bring yourself back gently. You don't wrap yourself on the knuckles. You just say, okay, off the object, come back over and over again. So it's there's those two aspects, on the object and awareness of not being on the object. So they both have to be developed.
What you always say in meditation and stuff like that, that your mind goes back and you come back. And you said, this is the meditation.
Yeah.
I think it's very important to realize that is the meditation. So many people, because they can't keep their focus, they say, screw this, I can't do this. And they just stop doing it because they don't realize that that is the meditation. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it said if you sit for 15 minutes and you're thinking about a movie you saw last night and what you're going to do when you leave the center and what you had for lunch yesterday, and you bring your mind back just once to the object of the meditation, you've meditated. Okay? Yeah. So be easy, not have some patience with yourself. Yeah. Patience.
We have a question online.
Okay.
Brainy, you can go ahead and unmute.
Good morning. The voice you're hearing in the Kadampa is Rainy, and I'm coming to you from Zoom today. And I just happened to think about some of my better days when I'm more focused. I find that most of those good days when I'm focused on everything are the days when I start my day with a simple meditation where I focus on the breath and fall into that quiet meditative space, and then spend just a minute or two focusing on the emptiness of the eye. And if I can start my day with something as simple as focusing on the emptiness of the eye, I find that I can focus on most anything for the rest of the day. And that's just something that I've recognized just here in the past month or so. And I just wanted to share that.
Okay. Thank you. Any other comments on concentration, mental stability? Okay. Sixth perfection. What's the sixth perfection? Wisdom. Okay. Also sometimes referred to as discriminating awareness. There are a lot of aspects to this. I saw one commentary said that it means knowing what's appropriate and what's inappropriate. That's a type of wisdom. Lots of times we feel like we don't know what to do in a situation. Knowing that is a form of wisdom. It's also defined as seeing the difference between conventional and ultimate truth. Okay, conventional truth is the way we think things exist. Ultimate truth is the way they really exist. So it's basically seeing what exists, it's seeing reality as it is, without any false conceptions, without any projections. Okay, so this means, and this is where we get into the jargon, an understanding of emptiness, saying that all phenomena, physical and non-physical, their ultimate nature is empty, in that they lack any kind of permanent, fixed existence. So wisdom is really ultimately seeing the way things really exist. Right now, we're kind of deluded into thinking things exist in a permanent, unchanging, fixed way, exist in and of themselves without causes or conditions. And wisdom implies starting to see that as a false view and seeing the actual way things exist, which is much more fluid and non-solid than we think them to be. It doesn't mean seeing things as not existing at all. That's referred to as nihilism. The Buddha never was implying or saying that things don't exist. He was just saying things don't exist the way you think they do. Okay, and wisdom is starting to see things as they truly exist. So that's the sixth perfection. So that's really where the bodhisattva has to work on developing their wisdom aspect, if they haven't done so. Any comments on that? Okay, we got a couple over here.
I was just going to mention dependent arising.
Dependent arising. Okay, dependent arising describes the way things do exist. Okay, so I'll go through that list. It's for those who are interested. If you're not interested in this, it's fine to tune this out. It says things exist, and by things we mean this notebook, this body, my mind, all the thoughts in my mind. Everything exists as a dependent arising, not as an independent object, but as a dependent arising, in that this book is dependent upon its parts. Okay, there's a cover, there's pages, there's print on those. All those together make up what I'm seeing as this book. Okay, this book would not exist in the absence of any one of those parts. If it didn't have a cover, it would be a book without a cover, but it wouldn't be this book. Okay, so this book exists in dependence upon parts. It exists independent upon causes and conditions. That Stephen Batchelor, 50 years ago, translated a text that was written by Shantideva 1,500 years ago and took it to the printer, and it was printed in 1979, and then someone a couple years ago set up the presses to reprint it, and someone at Kadampa Center ordered it and put it out there, and Coco showed me where it was this morning, and I picked it up and brought it into the Gampa. So this book, this specific book that we are perceiving now, if you took away any one of those causes and conditions, this book would not exist. It exists, but it exists dependent upon every one of those and countless other causes and conditions. It may exist as a book that was still out there because Coco didn't come to the center this morning and didn't show me where they were, but that's a different book. This book depends on all those causes and conditions. The third dependence upon this book depends upon my consciousness perceiving it as this book. This book that I am perceiving and holding and interacting and describing would not exist without my consciousness to perceive it. Okay, if I was not here and my consciousness was not perceiving this book, there very well could be a book here that Linda was perceiving, but that is not the book that Robbie is perceiving at this moment. That's a different phenomena. Okay, so that's how things exist. So if you are completely bewildered and say that's the biggest bunch of hooey I've ever heard in my life, you can thank Susie for bringing that up. But that's describing the way things do exist in dependence upon parts, causes and conditions, and what they refer to as a designating consciousness. And that's the only way the book exists. It does not exist independent of any one of those. You take those away, and there is no book. You take one of them away, and that book does not exist. It has no existence from its own side, which is the way they describe it. Okay? Books, my body, my mind, every thought that comes through my mind, every other person, that's how they exist in dependence upon those three factors. Let's see, I think we had another right in front of Susie. Oh, okay. Yeah.
I was just thinking, if you take any one of those away, is it that the book doesn't exist or the book doesn't exist to me? If I don't have the consciousness to
That
perceive
book
it
does not exist. Any book that exists is a
That's all
different book. Yeah.
out there, period.
Okay.
Don't
Yeah.
exist.
And this book now is a different book from the book I was holding up 5 seconds ago. Okay. That's not the same book. This is every moment is a dependent arising. Okay. It's not a fixed thing. Okay. Okay. Yeah. It's constantly changing. And we go back here and then in the back.
This is more like a question. Is this a karma or a willpower?
Is this
Is this a karma? Like, is it happening because it was supposed to happen? Or is it like the willpower of each individual?
karma is part of the causes and conditions. Okay. When we talk about causes and conditions, it's all the karma that went into that, into me being here perceiving this book. Let's see, Susan and then Erica.
So why is it important that we get a handle on this, Robbie? Why should we
Yeah, well, that's
happiness?
because
happiness.
because it's a nice intellectual discussion. That's not satisfactory. Yeah. Okay. Why is it important? I'm going to throw that back to the group. Why is it important to start to? Yeah. Okay.
Well, from my perspective, if I see me as static, as present, then I start to see things as mine, not mine. I like it, I don't like it, and there starts a whole slew of karmic activities. Then that creates anger, that creates aversion, and so we are in cyclic existence because of this nature. But when you see how things truly exist, you can, at least for practical purposes, calm down. You see things as reality and you don't exaggerate what it is. So you can look at it from a practical perspective and ultimate nature of things. And so that's all I wanted to say.
Okay. Over here. Thank you.
It takes down the intensity of things. Like if you experience something and you're looking at it as this thing has an inherent nature, it has intrinsic nature, then it feels much more powerful than it actually is. If somebody comes at you with some kind of unkindness, maybe somebody robs you on the train, rather than seeing all the causes and conditions that might have caused that person to feel the need to rob you or for you to grasp to the suffering that comes from that, you can look at it and go, well, you don't know everything that was happening in that person's life to lead up to that moment. And like, why am I grasping onto the suffering that I'm feeling right now? You're seeing it as this really powerful moment when, if you look at it as the causes and conditions, it creates a bit of space in between.
Okay. Thank you.
And you can,
Yeah. Anyone else? Yeah. I mean, why is okay. Let's see. Wait, let's go to Mark first. Okay.
So could you speak a little bit more about the designated consciousness?
Well, yeah, I want to stick with this discussion first of why is this important or why is it useful, Andre? And then we'll get back to that.
I find it really, really useful when dealing or working with people, when relating to people, because we have this tendency, we see a person, and then we already figure, well, I know who this person is. I do the work in the prisons, right? And people assume I know this person, because this person is this. He's a criminal. He's that. He's that. He's that. But when I find that, well, actually, he's not that. That is what he has done. He's not his actions. And so it really helps because then, because once we get this idea and this idea is fixed in our mind as Vina always says, it's bad enough that we have the delusion, but then on top of that, we believe delusion to be true, right? And so this really frees us from that, and it gives us an opportunity to allow these people to be able to grow and to expand and then and so forth to really become who they really are.
And that was one of Lama Zopa's big lines, saying not only do we hallucinate, but we 100% believe our hallucinations. Yeah. Let's see, Erica, you want to? Oh, wait, Susan, does that get at what you were? Those get there? Yeah. I mean, the Buddha, this is something you have to experience yourself. The Buddha said that seeing reality, seeing things as they are, in and of itself is an incredibly blissful experience. There's no friction the way we see things as in the way we see things now. If we see things as they truly are, it's a joyful experience. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah. Okay. Erica, and then we'll get back to Mark. Okay.
Well, actually, the comment that I was going to make may actually be part of what Mark was talking about, the idea of the dependent consciousness or the designated consciousness. The way I always like to think about it is not necessarily in relation to another person, as you used for the example of the book, yours and Donna's consciousness. I like to think about it as if it was a book. Would my cat perceive it as a book?
Yes, I'll give that
I'm unable to perceive it as a book.
Yeah.
My cat does not understand the concept of what a book might be. And so to my cat, this book does not exist. And so if there is no inherent bookness to every living sentient being, including my cat, then it isn't an inherent book.
Very good. Yeah. I was going to say something along the same lines. I see this as a book because of my consciousness, my past experiences, my knowledge. Everything in my consciousness can, they say, label or designate this as a book. Okay. An ant would see this as an obstacle, possibly even a wall. Okay. It would see nothing of book there. Okay. Which one is correct? They're both. Yeah. Okay. For my consciousness, or the book that my consciousness perceives, that is a book. For the ant, it's a wall. And they're both equally valid. Okay. They both exist in the same way. So there is nothing out here that, as Erica said, has inherent bookishness. There's no quality of book in this phenomena that causes every sentient being to see it as book. Okay? Dog would see it as they say, a chewable object. And that's how that exists. Okay? It's not the same object, but both objects exist. Okay? It's not in this. Okay? There's not book that every sentient being is going to see. Okay? Does that get, Mark, does that get towards what you were asking? Yeah. Wait, I think Mark wanted to say something. Yeah, go ahead. No.
I'll send it back. I think for me, I mean, a book is fine as an example. Let's expand that up to something like the healthcare system and all the controversy, a lot of the big issues that are in the news these days.
Yeah.
I think the healthcare system is a great example because it is a series of causes and conditions and decisions that have been made. So you can see how it's built up to where we are at this exact moment. And then everybody who views it from their own perspective.
Yeah.
And then we label it. And so it's when to me, it's just like there can be so much conflict around our different interpretations.
Around our labels. We cling onto my label, your label's wrong, my label's right. Yeah.
I was gonna say, she hit it right on.
Okay, okay. So wisdom, yeah, Elise.
I view it also as a cautionary and as an encouragement, because when you're having good times, your job is great, you've got food and money and all of this, you have to remember it's a result of many different causes and conditions. And if you want that to stay, you have to be mindful and work at creating these causes and conditions. And when things are really bad, you've lost your job, you know, you're sick, whatever, remember that that also is a result of causes and conditions. And maybe there are some causes and conditions you can control to make it better.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, most of us are not at the stage where, so what do we call someone who sees the emptiness of fall phenomena? What's that person? An arhat, okay? You have a bodhisattva who's realized the compassion. You have an arhat who's realized wisdom. A Buddha has done both. An arhat looks at this book and it's said, you know, sees the conventionally dependent existent book and its emptiness at the same time. Okay, doesn't have to think about it or remind himself, remind herself. They just look at it and see its lack of inherent existence. That's the way it appears, in the same way that it appears kind of gray-green to us automatically. That's just the way they perceive things. Most of us aren't there, but at least reminding ourselves, oh, this doesn't really permanently exist the way it's appearing to me right now. Okay, which doesn't mean it doesn't exist, but it's not as solid as I'm making it out to be. It's not as fixed. Yeah. So there's a lot we can do with this before we get to actually seeing the emptiness of it.
I was just going to mention that it helps us change.
Yeah.
We know that we are not permanent.
Yeah.
So we can become Buddhas.
Okay. Okay, great discussion. So let's recite the 6 perfections together. Okay, this is something good. That's one of these lists. You know, you can't memorize all of them, but this is a good one to keep at your fingertips. Now, I'm going to have to look at my cheat sheet because when I lead something like this, you know, I can't when I lead the prayers, I have to read them. It's not like reciting them to myself. Okay, 6 perfections: generosity, ethics, morality, patience, fortitude, joyful effort, concentration, wisdom. Okay, great, great bodhisattvas. Well, you're working. No, you're working on all of them simultaneously. Concentration and wisdom are kind of considered higher trainings, more difficult. The others are more practical and down to earth, I think. But you can work on whatever you're a little bit lacking in, if any of those. Okay, so thank you for the discussion. And I hope that, you know, gives you some perspective about what Geshe Gallic is talking about on Sundays. And if you don't have one already, please get a copy of this text because it's something you'll refer to over and over on your Buddhist path.
And I think we have some announcements.
I'm Elise Strabel, but I'm making announcements for Coco, who is our community coordinator and the bookstore person. And another brief reminder for Coco that the Bodhisattva's Way of Life is available in our bookstore, some on the back shelf and some on the counter by the door. And it's really a classic that will serve you well just to have around for always. And then I want to help announce the food drive, which will help you practice some of those wonderful 6 perfections, especially generosity and joyful effort. We are trying to collect enough food to serve a family of 4, 30 families of 4 for 3 days, which incredibly, the food bank says takes the equivalent of about 1,000 cans of food. So anything that you can contribute would be most appreciated. We have a collection basket outside the door in case the only time you can bring things is during the week. But we really appreciate if you bring things indoors to our collection containers right in the lobby. So please, any kind of non-perishable foods and no glass jars, please, because those, too dangerous for breaking. So, and we're collecting this through November 15th. So when you're shopping, remember to have some mindfulness toward those who are in need. Thank you. Oh, no. Oh, Rhonda reminded me, I'm a member of the Green Team, and Kadampa Center now subscribes to Compost Now, and the black bin is outside the side door. Anytime you can collect your compostables, all food waste and other compostables at home, put them in a bucket and just come and dump them into our black bin over there. And that helps the earth by keeping all those compostables out of the landfill. It helps your household because you have fewer bad smells in your garbage. And it also helps the Kadampa Center because whatever weight of compostables we collect, we can get that back in refined compost for our gardens. So if you're unsure, you can go to Compost Now website. They've got all the information you need. But also on the other side of this wall, we have little slips of paper that remind you of what is compostable.
But that's it's ongoing.
Going.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's ongoing.
Yes.
Forever and ever.
Till all sentient beings reach enlightenment.
Hi there. My name is Monica, and I just want to thank everybody that showed up yesterday. We had a wonderful day. We did a lot of work, a lot of muscle power. Thank you, Eric. We didn't have a chance to do the stupa, so I'm sure that Trina might do another day for the stupa cleaning. And we needed some more bags of potting soil, but we have a wonderful person that has decided to donate the bags that we need for the second garden.
Oh.
So thank you, Michael. And thank you everyone for showing up.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, remind people of Discovering Buddhism tomorrow night. I'm leading Establishing a Daily Practice. If you missed the first class, it's fine to show up tomorrow, 7 o'clock. Any other announcements? Anything spiritual program? Okay. Take it away, Donna.
Actually, I will mention for spiritual programs that on Saturday, we are having the special Tara practice where we do the practice with all the 21 Taras. This is a practice Geshe taught us shortly after we moved into this building. And that'll be Saturday morning at 10. Actually, no, come at 9:30 to help us make the offerings. And then if you can come Friday morning at 10 o'clock, we'll be setting up, we're moving everything out in the Gampa and setting up a beautiful big altar with bringing all the Taras out here into the middle of the Gampa. So we only do this about once a year now. So come and be part of it. It's really quite wonderful. Okay, please turn to the blue tab in the Gold Prayer Book, page 246, and we'll say the dedication verses from who else? Master Shantideva. May all beings everywhere, plagued by sufferings of body and mind, obtain a notion of happiness and joy by virtue of our merits. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled with a mind weighed down by depression. May the blind see forms and the deaf hear sounds. May those whose bodies are worn with toil be restored on finding repose. May the naked find clothing, the hungry find food. May the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the poor find wealth, those weak with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find hope, constant happiness, and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvests. May all medicines be effective and wholesome prayers bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be freed from their ailments. Whatever diseases there are in the world, may these never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid and those bound be freed. May the powerless find power and may people think of benefiting each other. For as long as space remains, for as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Now on page 244, the Long Life Prayer for His Holiness the Dalai Lama. In a land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All powerful Chenrezig Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. On the following page, the Long Life Prayer for Khyentse Rinpoche. The one who mastered his speech at a very young age, the one with great patience who received the name Avatari, the one with great precision who spread the teachings of Lama Tsongkhapa on bliss and void, Lama, ornament of the yellow hat tradition, please remain until samsara ends. Inside the back cover, the prayer for the swift return of Chapje Lama Zopa Rinpoche. Peerless teacher and assembly of the children of the victorious ones, Shravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas, victorious Losang father and sons, along with the lineage masters, all the objects of refuge of the infinite lands, please bestow the virtue and goodness of accomplishing this prayer here and now, holding and spreading the Muni's precious and complete teachings through explanation and practice. You are the armor of patience that is never discouraged. Incomparable, venerable Guru, to you I make request. While striving single-pointedly for the sake of the victorious one's teachings, the sole gateway through which all benefit and happiness emerge, and from other living beings, you suddenly departed to peace. What a great loss. Nevertheless, through the undeceiving truth of the blessings of the ocean of the three jewels and the great ways of bodhicitta of the children of the victorious ones, may the smile of a reincarnation swiftly beam in glory for fortunate disciples. And inside the front cover, the prayer for Geshe Gelug's long life. Supreme Guide, you lead us on the many paths of virtue. A shining sun, you give us the best of excellent explanations. Supreme virtuous friend, you are a constant Dharma companion. Lama who has renounced fame, may you ever remain. And for Geshe Sangpo. You who have steadfast imprints of virtuous qualities and keep the instructions of the glorious Guru in your heart, you who pass day and night with noble activities, great virtuous friend, may you have a very long life. Om Tare Tu Re So Ha. 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 Om Tare Tu Re So Ha.
Thank you so much, Robbie. That was incredibly beneficial. Thank you. Thanks everyone for joining us online
Thank you.
and in the Kadampa. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Linda. Good to see you.
You're welcome.
Okay.